In honor of me. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, right. Anyway, hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Beer Analysis
Penis.
101 with Greg's penis and tonight's beer, which is going to be Hoegaarden. So we got all kinds of hoes here tonight.
Oh, thanks, Nick.
Anyway, moving right along, let's go over to our panel tonight for starting with Mr. Ashley Sexton of Sexton Brewing. How's it going today? Vroom, vroom.
Well, as you can tell, I'm living a very fast life, so it's been a busy day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
very.
I just finished eating fucking dinner, man. Like, that's all I got.
you didn't even finish eating supper and you came down. I admire your dedication. Yeah.
No, I did just finish, but I was like really fast.
So. Yeah, well, that still counts as effort, I guess, and
maximum effort.
Yeah, maximum effort. You're still not here every week like Greg is, but you're getting there. All right. Another one we got coming up. We got Mr. Rougebeard, Redbeard Gaming, and all that crap on his channel. Check out his beer reviews. How you doing tonight?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for not calling me Macawell. Anyway, also have the former and maybe future king of BeerTube, who is the famous right now for his They Must Be Destroyed on Site podcast. Lee, how you doing tonight?
I'm not famous, but I'm fine.
All right. Well, you're famous to us. We all know who you are. And of course...
Wow. What a fan base.
Well, there's 5 of your subscribers right here. Anyway, speaking of people we're subscribed to, the current reigning king of BeerTube, which is Mr. Craig from Kent Beer Reviews over in the UK. How you doing tonight? You're cringing a little.
A bit hot. A bit too hot. Don't like it. Go away, weather.
Agreed. And speaking of hot, Craig.
Still having me.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. I was trying to segue into Greg. The hot. Anyway, Greg, how you doing tonight, Mr. B?
I'm doing fantastic, Nick. I'd be even better if I had time to take a poop, but you know what? Nick called, so I had to hold it in.
Well, I know how fast you can poop, so you could always take a break when we're doing the history.
Oh, and don't think I won't.
Speaking of which, let's read the Hoegaarden history. Hoegaarden traces its origins as far back as 1445 in the village of Hoegaarden in the Flemish region of Belgium, where a traditional style of beer using wheat had been brewed by local monks. However, by the 1950s, this tradition had all but died out. In 1957, the last Witbier brewery, Thomason, closed its doors. A local milkman named Pierre Celis, who had grown up near and had worked at the brewery as a child, when he was younger, I should say, revived the brewery in 1965, first brewing up a batch in his milk shed using only a copper boiler. His operation soon expanded and moved into a larger building called De Cluse, aka the Vault, translated, a nod to the monks who traditionally brewed the style. In 1985, his brewery was a success and was brewing 75,000 hectoliters a year. Later in 1985, a fire decimated the De Cluse brewery. His buildings were not insured. As a result, several other local breweries stepped in to help Celis get back on his feet, one of which included Brouwerie Artois, makers of Stella Artois, and the largest brewery in Belgium. Artois, later Interbrew, or today's AB InBev, loaned money to help purchase other buildings and rebuild the brewery. Over time, however, Celis fell out with Interbrew and is dealt with them, eventually selling Hoegaarden to Interbrew, and moved to Austin, Texas with his daughter, Christine, in 1991. Pierre Celis passed away in April 2011 at the age of 86. In November 2005, InBev announced that they would close the Hoegaarden brewery in 2006 and move production to the town's namesake brewery beer to their larger brewery in Jupiler. Previous bottle-conditioned beers that had been moved to that larger brewery had changed for the worse. The announcement led to fears that Hoegaarden would change, and eventually led to protests from the townspeople, upset at the potential loss of the town's most famous symbol and their largest employer. This move never happened, and in September 2007, InBev announced that they would instead spend 60 million euros to upgrade facilities in Hoegaarden. Now, I couldn't find any information, but I'm pretty sure they ended up moving most production away from them anyway later on, like 2010s, but I'm not sure. I couldn't find anything about it. I thought I heard that somewhere, so I'm just adding that in right now. Anyway, so other beers from Hoegaarden include their rosé, which was flavored with raspberries, the citron, which is obviously flavored with lemon. They have a Hoegaarden Grand Cru, which is an 8.5% version. They have Hoegaarden Julius, which is a triple hop version. Hoegaarden Special, which is a winter seasonal described as spicier and sour. Interesting. Some interesting sounding versions here. Hoegaarden itself, though, is a 4.9% ABV Belgian Witbier brewed with wheat, malted barley, coriander, and curacao orange. The beer is unfiltered and has a bit of sugar and yeast added to allow a second fermentation in the bottle. Hoegaarden is stored for 1 to 2 weeks before it is shipped to be sold, and it's seen as almost single-handedly reviving the Witbier style, today one of the most popular styles of beer in the world. Like, for example, like Shock Top or Blue Moon or Blanche de Chamblay or so, beers along those lines. Anyway, yeah, let's. Do we have any comments there? Anybody other than Greg want to volunteer? Read? I don't think we do have a lot of comments.
I will read them.
All right.
So we already saw the ones from off the 10th. Snarky little bitch. He's already asking what next week's beer is. Eric Gilbert says, "Cheers, fools. Got my hearty ready." Basement Brohim says, "Cheers, guys. Didn't get the beer, but having a Cinderham American Porter left over from the bottle share, it didn't blow up." Off the 10th says, "Nice on that, I guess." And Eric Gilbert says, "Would love to be in a Hoegaarden right now."
Ha 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 ha. Heh.
Witty.
Notice I said Hoegaarden, not Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks for that, Lee. Let's move over to Ashley and see what his personal history with Hoegaarden is.
Hoegaarden.
Ho. What's your history with this ho?
Oh, it's story time.
Story time with Ashley.
No, I don't have that much of a history, to be completely honest. I honestly don't think I've had this beer for quite a few years, but I do remember when I first moved out on my own, like out of the girlfriend's parents' place and stuff like that. Long story.
Oh, did you and your wife break up?
No, it's we're going way back. Anyways, it brings me back. I got my own place in this sort of hipster part of Mississauga called Port Credit at the time. And it's a nice little area. It's got a bunch of like little good restaurants and pubs and stuff like that. And I was just college guy, just drank a lot of macros and stuff like that. And I remember going to like a few pubs, and this beer just kept on showing up. So I was like, oh, fuck, try it out. Because to me, beer, there was just beer. It's just a light beer and a dark beer, and that was it. And I just generally drank the light ones. And then I remember I had this beer, and I was like, holy shit, this is not like any other beer I've ever had before. And it sort of like opened up. I mean, years after that, I still drank lagers, and I still do to this day. But it sort of showed me that, wow, there's like a bunch of different beers. And this was like one of those first experiences I had. With a beer that's got like different adjuncts to it and spices and shit like that. So it's never been my favorite beer or anything like that. I'm generally not a big fan of like wheat-based beers a lot of the times, but at that time I liked it, and it sort of broadened my horizons for other things. So there we go.
Yeah, good way to put it. Yeah, it is a great intro beer if you're looking for something accessible. Even though it looks really strange. It gets people used to drinking sedimentary beers. All right, so Redbeard, what's your history with Hoegaarden?
I had this years and years ago at a bar somewhere when I was just kind of drinking mackerel lagers and the occasional craft lager, and really wasn't into beer. Didn't even have any thoughts of doing any kind of craft beer exploration at that point in time. And I really, really wasn't a fan of it when I first tried it. And this is honestly like the second time I've ever tried it in my life. So,
Wow.
that's exciting.
Yeah, really. All right, move along over to Lee, who I'm pretty sure has a more extensive history than that.
Yeah. So I first had this, I want to say probably early 2000s. I'm thinking it's been in the NSLC off and on in stretches for almost 20 years, I guess, probably. It was definitely one of the first more unique interesting foreign beers to actually show up when they started expanding to more foreign stuff on the shelves. Used to be one of my major go-tos, and I reviewed it in 2008. I think like the first year I started up my YouTube channel for beer reviews anyway. But yeah, it went away for quite a while, and I'll get into that with my review, but it was definitely a favorite of mine that I'd always pick up all the time, just because it kind of was the best of its style. Like over the years, I'd have other ones like this, and they wouldn't really match up. So, but we'll get into it when I get into the review.
Right on. All right, Craig, what's your history of Hoegaarden? Hoegaarden. It's technically pronounced Hoegaarden, but
I prefer Ho.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
It's very similar to Lee. I don't know exactly whatever year it was. Probably the early 2000s. I first had this beer. I had it on draft, and before I knew what, you come with like a chunk of orange in it and stuff like that. And of course, back then I didn't have I still don't have a clue, but I didn't know back then. And yeah, I've had it a few times on draft. I've had it in Belgium once in the mid 2000s. Yeah, just and then sporadically since, really. Reviewed it a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. I think the last time I had it was a couple of years ago, just having a little look. So yeah, I have no idea if it's changed since the takeover or whatever. I have no idea. I didn't drink it regularly enough to actually form an opinion on that. And even then, it's probably wrong because beers, you have not had them for a long time. It just kind of like you can't really compare. But it just tastes exactly how I expected it to taste. So anyway, we'll get back into that in a minute. But yeah, good. Probably my first wheat beer as well. Can't hear you, Nick.
Oh, that's
I was mumbling something. Sorry, I had it muted. Yeah, it's I think my first wheat beer too, but we'll get into that after we let Greg go. Greg.
Is it my turn already? Wow, how exciting. Yeah. History with it. I don't know. I probably had it first time sometime in around the year 2011, 2012 was when I had almost all my first beers. I don't recall having it before then, although it's certainly possible. And back then I probably wouldn't have liked it. But I've always liked it. I've always thought it was a good go-to beer. For a while, it was one of those beers you could get at most restaurants, since all they served is Molson Canadian or Bud Light, and then occasionally they'd throw you a bone and you'd get a Ho. And that's about it. I have not actually had it for a while because a lot of places that used to carry it now don't seem to carry it, and they'll carry like Lagunitas IPA or something instead, which is also very good, but it's different. Not as good as a patio beer, I'll say, as Hoegaarden.
Nice. All right, now my turn. First time I ever had a Hoegaarden was not too long after I moved back from Calgary back in 2007. I was over at my brother's place, and he asked, I forget what we were doing over there. I think it was helping him with his computer or something. And he asked me, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I get a beer, but do you have anything other than a lager or something like that?" And he said, "Yeah, his girlfriend and now his wife had a bunch of these in the fridge too." He's like, "Well, you can have one of these if you want." And like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And at first, I don't even think I finished it. It was just like, that's different. I didn't know exactly what to think about it. But, the name was unique enough that it kind of stuck in my mind. And when I started getting more and more experimental with drinking like craft beers around 2009, 2010, I tried to go back to it. And nowadays, I don't want to get too many spoilers still about it, but over the years, I've often seen this one as being one of the archetypes of the style of wit beer. Like, it's not just so much that this is the original wit beer. It's also one of the benchmarks. If that makes any sense. All right, now I'm done. We have any get a couple of comments there from Raining on Your Parade, I see.
Yeah, let's get into it here. Let's see. Raining on Your Parade First off, Eric Gilbert said he had to do it. He had to make the hoe joke. So there you go. Rating on Your Parade says, first time I tried Hoegaarden, it was only sold in single bottles, and it was awesome. A couple years later, they started selling it in 4-packs, and there was a noticeable difference, of course. He says, not for the better. Then it was sold in 6-packs, and it even went more downhill. I had a bottle a few months ago, and I think I poured most of it.
Likely story. Yeah, I kind of wonder about that. If they really did move production from Hoegaarden, or did AB InBev do something to cut corners and make the shit cheaper? Because it's almost expected that, I mean, it's shit that AB InBev does in order to impress their investors and make more money for themselves, is that they cut costs, and it makes their profit margin look bigger. So the big worry has been, is this one going to fall victim to that? And anyway, let's get into our final thoughts if we're ready to give them. Ash, you ready to go?
Yeah, I can go. Where do I start with this one? So when were they acquired by AB InBev? Did you say it was 2006?
They were acquired by AB InBev back in the 80s.
Oh, wait, okay.
But it was 2006 when they announced that they were going to move the brewery so they could centralize stuff in Jubilee.
Yeah, so odds are this is the same beer I was drinking back in the early 2000s anyways. I mean, if they were already owned by AB InBev. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those beers where you sort of had memories one way, and then when you have it years again later, it's just sort of like, like things are a little bit different than what you remembered. But I always viewed this beer sort of like how, Pilsner Urquell is, to what you're saying, how you associate like a Belgian wit with this beer, Pilsner Urquell, Pilsner, they're sort of almost benchmarks. But yeah, I mean, this beer in my mind, it was different than what I had right now. Like, on the nose, I'm getting more clove than coriander. I'm getting a little bit of like orange, the Curacao orange that you mentioned. I would have hoped for something a little bit more of a malt body off the nose, and maybe a little bit more banana-y. I love those banana esters that come off these styles of beers, and it just wasn't there for me. Mouthfeel's great though, super soft. High abundance of wheat in there. It's it's a real soft beer to drink, really easy. But it was sort of funny on the finish. It's a little gassy on the back end. I've been noticing him burping a little bit. But from a taste perspective, though, I just find it's sort of it's lacking like a malt based body. It's missing something. It's almost like they went as far as they could with like the adjuncts before it got too crazy, for the mass drinkers, so to speak, who may be just turning on to the style of beer for the first time. They just kept it a little safe, or maybe that's what it is now. I don't know. So you can sit back and crush a whole bunch of these on a hot day. It goes down super easy, and it's only 4.9%. So, for the style, I mean, it's not a style that I've had a lot of beers that have really wowed me. So really for style, I'll just give it a 7 out of 10. And for personal preference, I'll give it a 6. I'll have it. I would certainly have it again, but I wouldn't say it's the best beer I've ever had. Not even close. So yeah, 7 and 6.
This is very nice. Thanks, Ash. All right, Redbeard, what's your go? Thanks. And also thanks for not being digital Redbeard this week.
Thank you for having me again, kind of thing.
I do like digital Redbeard. Doesn't interrupt.
It's true.
Have I interrupted this episode? I don't think so. Asshole. I'm actually really enjoying this. Like, it's wheat beers are really a style I haven't had a lot of, and the ones I have had, I haven't really been a fan of. I've had a couple that have been okay. But this, I don't know, something about this is just really, really nice and refreshing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I really didn't think I would be. Like I was saying, the first time I ever had it, I really didn't like it much. And something about it now, it's really hitting the spot. I'm going to go 8s across the board. I like it.
Nice. If you like that, you probably like other wit beers. Of course, I'm pretty sure
Apparently.
you've had others.
Yeah, sorry to interject. Redbeard, you have a can, right?
Yes.
And I have a can. Does everyone else have bottles?
No, I got the can as well.
I saw
Okay.
Nick has a bottle.
No, I got the bottles. So I can get bottles in 6-packs, and I can get the cans in singles.
And do the back of the bottles still tell you to stop, swirl, and then just splooge in the rest?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's got the splooge instructions there. So
Yeah, they don't have that. They don't have that on the cans.
No.
They're obviously not can conditioned. So,
Really? Yeah, because they're supposed to be bottle conditioned.
I wonder what the difference. I wonder if there is a substantial difference in taste between the bottle and the can.
because
I wonder. I should probably buy a can at some point.
I used to remember just like, I'd pour this into the glass and it would be foggy, and then you'd swirl and
Yeah, because that's what I had to do. Because I had a little bit of sediment down at the bottom. I got another bottle in the fridge. I can grab and drink. But I had, when I poured it, the stuff was almost clear, and then I had to swirl around and get the rest of it, and now it's just nice and what it should look like. So it makes me wonder: is the can not as good? Is it like Guinness in the bottle kind of thing? Or
I can speak on that. Can I speak on that now?
Redbeard hasn't given his rating, but we can, if you want to interject.
Yeah, he said 8.
Yes,
he
he
said
did.
8's across the board.
All right, yeah, you can speak now.
Thank you.
All right, so I can already tell you that it is actually better in the can as it stands now. I will say this beer is ruined from what it used to be back in the day. It is not the same beer it used to be, and I'm taking into account, of course, that yes, my palate probably has changed a little bit, but this is significantly worse than it used to be. I remember a Hoegaarden that was spicy, spritzy, definitely had a lot more flavor going on. This is deadened down. It's much more dishwatery now. It honestly reminds me of like a North American wheat beer that's just been spiced up a teeny bit. And that is incredibly disappointing to me. I get this in 12 packs of bottles for $29.19, I believe it is, for the $29.19 for 330 milliliter bottles, and I get the cans for $3.99 for the 500 milliliter can. The can's actually probably your best choice. It's still hazy as shit, just right out of the can. You don't have to do any of the swirling or any of that stuff. So I assume, probably not can conditioned, but it's at least unfiltered or whatever. And the can, I can definitely say, has a bit more flavor going on, maybe it's just a bit more fresh than what you get out of the bottles at this point. But this beer has really gone down. It's obviously fallen victim, unfortunately, to finally being sort of mass-produced and sort of mechanized within the AB InBev, whatever fucking formula that they do. Same thing Molson does to all their shit, right? Eventually Creamore Springs turned into crap. Slightly better crap than some of the crap out there, but it's still, Creamore Springs isn't what Creamore Springs used to be. Mill Street isn't what Mill Street used to be. Same kind of story here. This used to be the sort of standard bearer for the style. I would say it's not anymore. I dare say Blue Moon's probably a better fucking version of the style now.
Harsh.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they say, if you went to like the Hoegaarden website or whatever, they say put a slice of orange in it, because this could use some sprucing up, quite frankly. So yeah, I'm really disappointed in this. Style wise, I'm going to give it a 6, and personal enjoyment, I'm going to give it a 5. I can take it or leave it.
Ouch. Wow. All right. Moving over to Craig.
Yeah, very difficult for me to. I had it a couple of years ago, this beer, and it's kind of looking at what ratings and stuff just now, and it's kind of where I am again with it. Whether it's, I think I enjoyed it when I first tried it because I thought it was just so different. But that was. There was too long of a gap for me to actually notice any difference, and my palate's changed anyway. I've had better wheat beers, which, to be honest with you, I don't think it's that difficult now, by the sounds of it. I'm interested in see what you guys paid for your bottles. You got 330s or? But I got this is a 750. And it costs £2.75. So,
Holy crap!
so I mean, in that regard, it's pretty good. But the beer kind of doesn't match that really damn good price point, if that makes sense. So it's all right. There's a touch of coriander, but it's all very kind of minimalistic. A little bit kind of almost like I feel watered down. I get quite a bit of banana notes, I guess, but yeah, the orange peel and stuff is very basic, I'd say. Very kind of watery body. I mean, in the hot weather, I can forgive it for being not the beer it kind of was. You know, I just chug it back, and yeah, great. If you want to drink, it doesn't. I think when it gets to a point where it's really hot like now, it doesn't really matter flavors and stuff. It's just a drink. I mean, hell, I've been drinking lagers today and stuff like that. You know, so it's like, yeah. I mean, in my personal kind of in the style, I'd give it a 6, and same with Lee, I'll give it maybe a little bit more, but a 5.5.
Wow.
5.5 for enjoyment and 6 for style.
Over the style. Wow, no wonder you're the new king of beer too, because you think you'll like a lot like the old one.
Hoegaarden is randomly on sale here in Ontario at the LCBO. On for $2.90 when it usually sells for $3.10.
God damn! I paid $3.10 a few days ago. I should have held out.
See, now you guys are interrupting. All right, yeah, and besides, I also want to say that Hoegaarden single bottles $3.49 for those right now. Yeah. I get a 12-pack for $27.79. Yay, it's $2 off right this week. Yay. All right. Now that the king has spoken, we've got Greg. Let's the court jester. So
you gotta go for the king of the jester.
Well, we had
the town donkey.
He is a bit of an ass.
Wow.
Oh,
okay. Well, I hope you guys are proud of
love
yourself.
in the room.
Yeah, really.
I love you, Greg.
Well, I'll just have. While Craig was talking, I watched my cat kill and eat a really big bug, so that was kind of fun. As for this beer, you know what? I don't know if you guys are drinking the same beer as I am, or if there's batch variation, or what's going on. But I
can't do that. I'm across England. So.
That's probably true. You're not drinking the same beer as I am, but. I'm a big fan of wheat beers, whether it be the German style or the Belgian style. And this to me really is the archetype. And I haven't had this in a while. And to me, this is good, possibly better than I've ever had. I think the flavor is strong. I get tons of coriander for it. It's nice body to it. I don't know what there is to say. I mean, I still think this is the perfect wheat beer. And this reminds me why I don't typically got ones that are made locally, because they don't seem to get them right. This is a macro beer, and this is better than most I've ever had. For style, I got to go at 10 out of 10. I honestly don't know what you guys are drinking, but this to me is a 10 out of 10. For
I
what?
went 8. Come on.
Well, no, that's fine. No, red beer. No, that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying. To me, this is really what a wheat beer should be. Comparing it to Blue Moon, I have no clue how you can even compare the two. Granted, I haven't had Blue Moon for a while, so maybe it's improved a lot. I don't know. And personal enjoyment, it's a solid 8 for me. It's a really good beer. It's a beer I enjoy. I generally do prefer a German style, a Hefeweizen, but for sort of the lighter, fruitier cousin, it's a good beer. It's something I do enjoy on a patio. I can't seem to get it very often anymore, which is kind of odd. But yeah, to me it's a great summer beer. So solid 8.
Greg, you really like this beer.
I reversed Klizacked it.
Yeah, you're trying to bring. You only gave it a 10 because you're trying to bring the numbers back up. Well, I got news for you. It's not going to work. Yeah, my own personal opinion. In my own opinion. Moo. About this beer, I think that it has dropped off. I remember it being a little bit, definitely the orange being a little less candy sweet, and It also seems like syrupy at the same time. I think it's very light and fluffy. It's very gassy, but it is light and fluffy, very refreshing to drink especially when cold, and it doesn't taste too bad as it's warming up here. You get lots of coriander. You get these bubblegummy kind of banana kind of esters coming through that are really quite nice. But I find it all soppy, muted, and almost watered down, like the same way that Lee was saying. I remember this being like the best wit beer, one of the best wit beers, the one that stood the test of time, the one that's really stood up. And maybe I got to try the can. Maybe I got an off bottle or something like that. Or maybe, InBev is fucking around with this thing, because that's one that really pisses this. It was always impressed me that InBev could make this beer as good as it was and not fuck with it. And now it just seems like they fucked with it a little bit. But I will say that I still like it. I think it's gotten a lot closer in consistency down, like as far as quality. I think it's gone a lot closer to Blue Moon or Shock Top, but it's still better than those. So for the style, I'm going to give it a 7, and for overall enjoyment, I'm going to give it a 6.5. All right, sound fair?
All right.
Sure.
I'll go to comments then, I guess.
All right, I'll do the math.
Okay, so let's see here. Eric Gilbert says St. Bernardus wit is much better. Hoegaarden is or was a great entry point. Basement Broham says gassy on the back end. Ashley Sexpot. Raining on Your Parade says had many killer Belgian whites. Probably the best one was Blanche de Bruges. Ashley Sexton says it's very gassy. Suns. Steen Bruges is great too, Eric Gilbert says. He says he loves the Hoegaarden glass for Saisons, I guess. And he says £2.50 is like 75 cents Canadian. Basement Broham says £2.50. Basement Broham says £2.50 is one of Nick's burrito doo-doos. Ew.
Jesus.
That's disgusting. Raining Iron Parade says when it was sold in single bottles, it was so beautiful. One of the best white ales. Still say Blanche de Bruges was king. When you opened a Blanche, you felt like you were living in Belgium. And Eric Gilbert says 7-Eleven burritos has to equal to at least 15 pounds of wet stool.
Close.
That's a lot of shit.
Nasty. That's nasty. All right, so what's everybody looking at me for?
Because you're the host and we expect you to guide us.
Dance, monkey.
Dance, motherfucker. All right, so I'm almost ready with the graphic. If anyone wants to keep talking,
Somebody in the comments should think of a question to ask.
Yeah,
like say,
Almost like something about like a beverage we might want to imbibe next. I don't know, Wednesday.
Like,
Does that seem like a good day
maybe
to
like
drink?
maybe 7 days from now, kind of thing.
It was the third
Sounds like a
comment
good time.
from Chris.
Yeah, but it was too early back then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Chris Blue is a little
He
too
doesn't
early.
count. Yeah, exactly.
That's what happens when you have a hot tub.
he's washing his hair because he blew his load in it.
I'm distracted by the Facebook chat here. Fucking Jamie made the mistake of posting a picture of his
Posting
wife.
pictures. He doesn't want to share it, but we might share it anyway.
Now Greg is just perving all over it.
Oh, it's already saved for later.
All right. Now, with that in mind, let's show a screenshot of what Jamie was drinking rather several years ago, which is, of course, the final scores for tonight's beer, which is rating, style 7.3, overall 6.5.
I brought that up.
Greg did bring it up a little, but that's pretty much the consensus. Actually, I think that's almost exactly what rating I gave it.
Fair enough.
Maybe I should be.
Almost like Nick rigged this stuff.
I think so. The fix is in.
Mm-hmm.
We're onto your bullshit.
I mean, it's not bad. Like, no, not my bullshit. I'm talking about the beer, but it's not bad. But I do feel like it's gotten a lot more muted than it used to be.
Sounds like a bit of variation in the batches as well.
It could be. Oh, I guess I'll have to drink another one. Isn't sure.
Basement Broham has asked, next week's beer?
Oh, that's technically not from the panel. So, yes, next week's beer, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Greg, because you're the Polish guy here, but we're going to take a look at a beer called Żywiec.
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, you pretty much got that right on the nose.
Żywiec?
Żywiec.
That should be. This will be a fun one to fucking do the history for. All right. Now, we had originally planned that we were going to do Thomas Hardy's next week, because we thought next week would be the last week of Beer Analysis 101 for a while, because we didn't know, like, of course, Google Hangouts is going off air next week, but we recently found a streaming service called was it StreamYard? StreamYard, which we're going to try out afterwards, so hopefully that goes over well.
Yeah, you can only have 6 people on there, so you're going to get the best of the best.
You can have more than 6 people, you just can't have them all.
No, we're weeding out the losers. We're weeding out the worst people. So we're going to have the best on Beer Analysis 101. Only going to have the best on the after show, too. So if you're the best, you'll get an invite. If you're not, you're crap and you know it, and you just better not say anything about it.
Oh, does that mean I'm not getting invites anymore?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Nick doesn't even want me here when there's 10 people allowed.
No, we love you, Greg. But at the same time, when it comes to the number of people, we rarely ever go over 7 anyway. On this chat, and hopefully, Google comes out with an alternative, and we can just go back to that. But at least this will allow us to continue doing live chats and stuff on YouTube. So, which is YouTube's kind of where I prefer to keep it, because that's where my channel is.
You're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel so much better, Nick, when August 1st, Google Awesome Hangouts comes out and blows your nutsack off.
They're fucking welcome to do so, because I hope that Google does come out with something real, something applicable. Like,
just blows it. They're welcome to blow your nutsack off.
I hope that Google blows that all over YouTube, man.
Oh,
all right.
So there's just a couple more comments here.
I feel like we don't even have to say penis at the end of the show, because we just did.
Well, there's a couple more comments here we should get through before we say penis. Eric Gilbert says, hopefully it's the Thomas King of Ales. Thought it was Thomas Hardy. Eric Gilbert says, ouch, commie corn juice. And Basement Broham says, Żywiec, silly Polish, whatever. Yeah.
Chris is screaming in the comments like a crazy person.
Kind of racist.
What? I thought it was Thomas Hardy.
Hey, Carrie, why don't you eat another?
Well, one of the biggest reasons why I want to push Thomas Hardy's back is because Joe can't make it next week, so he wants to come on. So,
have we even confirmed that Joe is still alive after the Farm Murder Fest?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I haven't heard from him. He hasn't had a peep since he went hanging out with Massive Matt and this massive.
Like I've seen absolutely nothing. I've seen no video from that thing. I've seen no indication that anything happened other than a bunch of rapes.
Yeah,
and
we could just
bearded fat.
We haven't heard from anybody who went to the thing. We could look in the newspaper for find newspapers online to that local area and say fire burns down. Fire burns down campers in Hope, Massachusetts, or New Jersey, or wherever he is.
Don't dox him.
She did try Google. We got to look up the obituaries to see if we can find what happened to Joe.
The pigs that Matt owns seem to be real happy after the weekend.
we'll just wait for 4 years, and then we'll go on Google Maps to that area, and we'll see a bunch of bodies laying out in the field somewhere.
All right. Now that we know what the next beef's beer is, Żywiec. You can get it in Ontario. I could have sworn you could get that in Nova Scotia.
No.
No. All right.
Well, I can't get it where I am in Nova Scotia anyway.
All right.
Lucky you, Lee. Lucky.
But we will do. I still got to send you that Thomas Hardy. So there will definitely be another beer analysis coming up, because we are not actually going to go offline, as I was afraid.
Can't keep us down, Google.
Exactly. You try.
Yeah.
All right. So we got all kinds of other stuff to talk about. We will talk about that on the after chat.
Can't contain this cock circus.
Yeah,
penis.
Contain that 5 pounds of poop.
Poo-poo?
Poo-poo.